whatever we discussed till now, it's just reading a data. Like we used a PySpark. Um, so we used the PySpark to read data. We will see again many scenarios. At the end of the day, every code, every line is something we will use PySpark only. So
Okay.
so it definitely you will see a lot of coding every day. But before that, you need to understand the new concept. We'll start with the new concept because we are going to add every feature, and then we are going to add that feature into the code also. For example, we discussed about how the ingestion layer, how the ingestion layer. So we took different types of files, right? And we loaded the data. So now the next thing is how we can do the, the transactional layer. So we discussed in the above, what is our transactional layer is Delta Lake, right? So your storage layer is Data Lake. So, and your transaction layer is Delta Lake. So what we do is we will start Delta Lake and we will integrate these features also into our code, and we will add this also after we load the data ingestion layer, and then we will take these Delta Lake features, and then next we'll go with the ETL pipelines. We'll play the engineering activities like this will come from the down to up level. So now we are coming this direction. So as part of this process, I would like to introduce today the
Okay.
Delta Lake concepts. So now you know what is data lake. So what is the data lake? Data lake is the one where we store our all the varieties of the data, right? And then you're going to integrate on top of that. Of course, we're going to integrate all the Delta Lake features, the capabilities. So how this is going to work? How this transaction? I said it's a transaction layer. What is the meaning of the transaction layer? So it means as part of the process, it is going to track all your transactions. So when I say transactions, it is going to take it everything like insert, update, delete is all transactions. So in Databricks, so we discussed data lakehouse. Data lakehouse is a specialized storage for storage frameworks, right? So
Hmm.
in this specialized storage frameworks, what is happening is it is going to enhance. So what is happening with this data lakehouse, the specialized framework? It is actually nothing but we have data lake is already there. So it is giving an enhancement to the data lake. So it's giving extra properties and everything. So coming to Delta Lake is nothing but it is a advanced feature on working on your data lakehouse platform. So this is working on top of your data lakehouse platform, your Delta Lake feature. So this is a powerful technical feature on working on your lakehouse platform. So we're going to discuss in this how this is going to work. Like we're going to see many concepts like about the time traveling, versionings. Like we're going to see many features step by step. Okay, first coming to Delta Lake. When you see in a big data, so the processing with the huge data, storing, processing, analytics is good to handle, but the transactional side, it is the way we got the issue. So that's the reason we got Delta Lake technology. So this is giving a solution to operate on your top of your data lake platforms to overcome the issues of what we have in data lake. Okay. So as we discussed, it is it is an open source storage layer, and it is going to add a transactional storage layer on top of data lake. So there is a data lake, right? There is a data lake we discussed. what Delta Lake is doing. Delta Lake, first thing is open source. It is open source. So anyone can consume this. So it's an open source storage layer. So this is bringing the reliability to data lakes by adding the transactional layer, or we can call transactional storage layer on top of your cloud storage. So this is like your cloud storage, nothing but. So when you say data lake house is nothing but whatever the storage layer is we are talking. So at the end of the day, where is your data? Your data is storing and managing by data lake only. So, but what it is doing, so this is nothing but all these delta lake or data lake house, it is nothing but it is serving as an intermediate platform, like which is like ingesting, querying, and processing of all your data. So, so which means remember, Delta Lake is not your actual storage layer. It is not a storage medium or it is not a storage format, right? So how we can load in Delta Lake, it's always in terms of like a Parquet formats, right? So only when you run the jobs on top of your data lake. This is a where is a physical storage. So this is a physical storage, um, right? So this is the way we can access, because while data lake is an excellent solution for storing your the huge amount of data, and because they face some issues about inconsistency and performance related to transactional asset property we discussed earlier. So that is a way we are using this Delta Lake feature. So this Delta Lake is, I can say, it's an innovation solution where it is overcoming all your data lake issues, and it provides all the transactional like manipulations and all the operations, like when you do the transactional operations, everything it is going to handle your process. And not only that, this Delta Lake is going to optimize your storage also of your data lake. How, like when you're integrating with the multi-cloud, like any, so we discussed, right? We can integrate with the cloud solutions. Um, so this data lake is nothing but we have in AWS, we have a S3 bucket, and so I'm keep on saying these things just to make sure that you remember. So we have AWS, and then same way we have in Azure, we have ADLS, data lake storage, and also we have a Google Cloud. So we have a Google Cloud bucket also is there. So all these are all integrated as like a data lakes. It works like a data lakes in the solution. And top of that, so here we have a transactional layer, which is Delta Lake. So this one. So Delta Lake, it's an open source library. It's just a library we are going to use as part of the job because the transactional layer, right? So it's going to work. So which means in overall, I can say, so we have a Delta Lake. So, and it is it's like a storage layer. So it's something serves as storage layer. And what is actually it is offering? It is offering all your transactional, nothing but ACID. So it's ACID guarantee. And then it is an open source framework. It's open source framework. And it is integrated. It's running on top of your 3 cloud storages. anything, any cloud storage you can. You can integrate here. So like this. So this is Delta Lake is running on top of any this is the below cloud storages, any cloud storages, and it offers the asset guarantee. It serves as a storage layer, and it is actually an open source framework. Like this is going to work. So this is a high level, but when you go a bit in depth, how actually it is working? Who is actually helping Delta Lake to take care of this process? So I can say there is a one very important feature of Delta Lake is called Delta Lake transaction log. So that's the important concept. Delta Lake transaction log. So what it is? It is actually, as we discussed, so Delta Lake is just library, right? It's a library. So it is a library where we deploy this library on the Databricks cluster. This is a cluster we have where we are running on Databricks cluster. So whatever the data, when you create your Delta Lake table, what will happen when you create your Delta Lake table, it is actually creating like one or more Parquet files in the data lake storage, in your storage, nothing but in the cloud storage, let's call. So, but as I said, end of the day, Delta Lake is not storing anything. It stores only the required metadata information. So Delta Lake is actually going to create a transaction log. It will create a transaction log. It will on JSON format. This transaction log is actually a JSON format. So how it will work? Okay, for example, I'm creating a table in the Delta Lake. So let's say this is my Databricks cluster, right? So here I've just created one table called Delta Lake table. Okay, let me just create like a table. So this is my table, and this table actually you are creating where you're creating on the Delta Lake, right? Delta Lake only. At the end of the day, all my transactions are performing on Delta Lake in the cluster. But where this physically stored on your cloud storage, it depends upon which cloud vendor you connected, is going to store. On what format? It is storing as a backend as a files, like a Parquet files. And additionally, the main point is it is going to store your transaction log also. So it means every time, so you can see here on the every time, it is actually going, reading and writing here, the both directions. What it is doing, the Delta Lake transaction log, whatever we discussed this one, it is nothing but like a Delta log. This is nothing but, it is a Delta log. What is the meaning of Delta log? First of all, what is the meaning of Delta? Delta means it is nothing but it is doing a CDC, right? It is doing the
obviously it's a CDC.
Capturing. It is nothing but it is if any change comes, Delta means if any change comes, it is going to capture. Like is a insert, update, delete, whatever it is going to capture that change. That change is called Delta. So Delta log means it is capturing a log, whatever you are doing a change, either insert or update or delete, everything is capturing here. So the delta log transaction log, nothing but like this one, delta lake transaction log is actually referring to the delta log only. Like it is going to record every transaction performing on your table, every transaction, like the user. So at the coming end of the day, the user is working on the table, is going to keep on do the changes. So whatever he is doing the changes on the table, everything is capturing and maintaining by his transaction log. That's called delta log.
Okay.
It means as at the end of the day, what will happen is, so this is a source of truth. So this is a source of truth of what? Of your table's history, right? So this
Okay.
delta log is actually capturing all my table history. Like, okay, where is your data? What changes happen? Okay, what version, on what time it is changed, what record is updated, what record is inserted, what record is deleted. So it is capturing all the transaction log, means every transaction is capturing. This is nothing but it will know everything about your table from starting to until now, means it will know all the history of your table, which is a source of truth, means it is a single centralized log information for your table, right? So every time when the user query, okay, this user, for example, doing some transactional thing. So there is the other user is actually coming and then, he's reading a data, anything. So then what will happen? Whenever the user comes, the query the table, whenever he comes and query the table, what will happen? The table is not going go and get data directly. It is actually checking the log, transaction log.
Okay.
And then based on the transaction log, it will check what is the latest version, the most recent version of your data, and that is giving to the user, the table back. And then the user can access the data.
Okay.
So that is always. So for example, I have 100 versions of my data changes. So what is the latest version? 100th version is the
Yeah.
latest version.
Most recent version.
Yes, this is the most recent version of your data. So what will happen is here, it is going to capture the latest version of your change, and then it is giving. So now here, the concept is how this is internally working. You see everything practically. We're going to see everything practically. Before going to practical, we are discussing about today the introduction part, how this mechanism is working. It's a very beautiful mechanism. So it's a very easy way of capturing. It is not something we are using AI or any advanced technology. It's a basic sense. At the end of the day, when you are updating a table, there is some guy who is sitting and writing. Um, right? And then he know all the history, like how we call um, Chitragupta, right? The guy who will write all our things, what we are doing, all the things the same way. So there's a one guy who is here writing all the transaction log of the table. So the same way, right? So it is capturing all the data. Whenever you're doing any transaction, right? What will happen? It will commit a record in the transaction log first. So this transaction log will always a JSON format. It is always to the JSON format. This is so these files, this transaction log file contains all what type of the transactions you did, the insert,
Mhm.
update, delete, all the transactions, um, right? And so this log will capture all details. Okay, so I'll take one example now, and I'll take one example scenario, and we'll discuss now how the two users are talking. So then you'll get a clear understanding how this will work. So now let me take two users. Suppose I'm taking the user one, for example, let me call suppose Ellis, one user, And I'm taking another user called Bob. This is common names in the market we have, right? So now I'm taking these two users. So how these users are discussing about these concepts, how these users actually writing, reading, suppose operations. First, what is the first scenario? I'll take writing and reading, suppose. Right. This guy, LS, is actually he created a table. Fine. I'm talking about Delta Lake. Right. So first, right. First, this LS user, he went to Delta Lake, right? And he did the insert into table, right? So when you insert the table, what will happen? Okay, in the backend, I have a table directory where I'm going to store my data. And even this user is reading, right? Where he's reading from? What is the transaction layer? Delta Lake only. So I'm taking Delta Lake. Yeah. So you'll see multiple transactions in this process. That's why I'm just designing the flow. And of course the Bob also is doing fine. Okay. First transaction, the user, the allies, is inserted into the table. Whenever he insert the table, what will happen? So immediately your data is adding a data files. Suppose, let's say first I'm calling a part one dot. It will go with the parquet load. And then there is a one file will create. So there's a one part one parquet file. File is created. And same way, there is a what we have in this directory log, right? Because it will maintain all your transaction log, nothing but delta log. So there is a one file 000, suppose .json. Log is always JSON file. Okay, let's see what it's doing. So in this scenario, the user is loaded the data. Suppose, let's see, he just did the part one, part two. There is a two files we have loaded. When you insert the data, suppose two files are loaded. Suppose, right, this is the first transaction. So the Delta module adding a transactional log called 00.json into our Delta log as a subdirectory. Okay, so the transaction log, this one is capturing the metadata information about the changes made. What changes made now after you create a table, you insert the data, and this is the operational. This is a transactional operation, right? And this transaction operation is newly created with your data files and the timestamp, all the other information it's going to store. Right. So next, what will happen? This is the first transaction. On the right side, Bob is ready. He's actually waiting for the data. So, okay, for example, yeah, he's writing a statement. So, for example, okay, he's writing a statement called, suppose, select star from table, let's say. When he write the statement, first step, what will happen? When you write a select statement, before it is going to access data directly, the Delta module always begins by consulting your Delta log information only, the transaction log. When you want to go and meet a doctor, you can't go directly, right? There is a one guy outside the compounder, or there is some PA. First, you need to ask, and based on that, he's giving his availability. The same way, when the Bob comes to ask Delta Lake, hey, I want this table, select star. It can't go directly to your file, get data. First, what is happening? So in this case, what is happening in this case, in this particular case, it is actually reading the log from the transaction log. So it is reading your delta. Let me call delta log always. It's easier. Nothing but transaction log. Delta means transaction log. And then what will happen? So this log has information, always the latest information of your file. So currently what it has latest information, part one, part two, or your files. So then what will happen? Whatever the capture changes made by this guy, Elias, during the write operation, so the Delta module is reading these two files, and what will happen is it is giving the data. So read data files. So we have two files, part one, part two, part with files. It is giving. So means, so what is this is? So this is nothing but this is your results, right? So now the results will go to your Bob. This is the results here. So this is the process. I'm just talking only insert. Next, we'll see the other operations. First, Ls entered his data. Whenever he entered the data, all the data is going to the internally as a Parquet files. Your Delta Lake is storing on your cloud storages as a Parquet files along with the transaction log. We discussed already here. So
Yeah.
along with the transaction log, and when the user comes and reading, so from Delta Lake, so this is a Delta Lake, and this is also Delta Lake. So, and this is your table directory is a physical storage. So when Bob comes back, when he asks, okay, I want data, simple. Okay, done. The Delta Lake will always give you the latest log details to the Delta Lake. Delta Lake. So the Delta Lake is giving a results here. So this is the way the insert will work. So at the end of the day, what is the heart of this whole process is your delta log, the transaction log, because this will know who is first, who is last. All the history. That's why I called here the source of truth of your table's history. Any questions here? Please ask me. Yeah, so these sessions looks like a movie, but
Okay.
it looks like, oh, this is like a who is hero, and after finish the movie, we'll confuse like we will not remember everything. But I request you revise the video again whenever until you get good understanding, and then it is fine. But when you see practically, practicals are very simple. I feel practical is not difficult because when I give a data, when I give a code, we can understand. But understanding what is the beauty, what is the beauty? These people are simply giving us open source, and you know we have is all open source like Spark, Delta Lake, all open sources. The guy, the Databricks guy, they are nothing but like a Spark developers only. So they are making a tools. They're giving these tools with the good services. So in these scenarios, we can make our own. We can make our own products by using these features also. That's what my aim. It is not something that we learn and it is not something we learn and we'll do for job purpose. The main thing is you need to understand these tools and why can't we develop your own products like a Databricks or any other tools in the market. So because the problem is with the data, we're coming with the very good way of process. We discussed the problem with the warehouses, we got data lakes, and we discussed about data lake problems of processing. We have a Spark, and after data lake processing, we discussed about the transactional issue. We can't access, so we got Delta Lake. So means everywhere we got a problem, everywhere we got a solution is coming. So that's what we need to understand because we never know what is the client problems. So he has many problems. At the time of understanding his problem, we can give the best solution to him. So he is happy with the big data lake, and now he's a problem with the transactional. So now we are giving delta lake. How it is working? Is working by capturing the log information. So here I'm not using any specific engine to track. I'm just using a simply like a register, simply like a register or to monitor my table. Okay,
Mhm.
what is first, what is the new, what is the old, this information. Okay, so this is about um
This
writing
one,
and reading.
oh, right. Venkat, whether it has maintained any version kind of stuff, or it's going to be a
Ah,
lost based on this transaction log timestamp, it is going to be bring it up the last one, latest one.
yes, yeah. So this Delta Lake, I'll tell you the features, how it is giving. So it is always take care of versioning and the timestamp. So both it can give the both features. We're going to see this how the versioning it is going to allocate when we are doing some changes. Suppose I'm
Mhm.
inserting here. When we are inserting here, so this log is actually maintaining the versioning, including timestamp also. Both it can update.
Okay, like
Okay,
ACD2, right?
exactly. So and there is a time travel features. We have many features. We'll see later after this how it will work, what is the features, like how if any data damage happen, disaster recoveries, all those things we'll discuss now. Like
Mm.
for example, if any versioning, suppose you can go back, you can go back the time travel features, like go back to the old time and get that data. So that is also we can do. You will see that. That is also we have in the discussion. Right. So this is about reading and writing. Okay. Next one. Let me take the next scenario. So I will take the same thing, but I'm taking a second scenario called update. Okay, so let me delete all this. Right, I'm taking update now. So this is update table. Right, what happened? So in this scenario, LS, I got a requirement. Okay, he was updating a data. So he's updating a record. Suppose his record is actually is on the part one. Let's take is on the part one on the back end of table. Okay, what will happen when he want to update? Your Delta Lake is going to get that specific pathway file, reading back. So what is doing? It's reading and updating. For what file? The part one file, part one dot pathway file, let's say. So, and then what will happen? it is actually disabling this file. So nothing but because why it is disabled? Why it is disabled? Because remember, Parquet files are immutable.
Okay. Yeah, we cannot do any changes.
Yes, Parquet files. Right, because because when he's trying to update, let me explain again. So Alex is trying to update the table in next scenario. When he's updating a next scenario, he need actually data from the part one, like we're selecting a data. He's doing some update on one record. That 101 ID record is in the part one. But as I said, at the end of the day, whatever you're storing on the physical storage, all these Parquet files are immutable. Means you can't change the file directly. But what I can do is I can read the data, I can update, I can read the data, and then I can update in the table and I can generate a new file with the new versioning.
Okay.
So this is the part two. Now, where is our part? Sorry, this is part two.
That is our part. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is going to generate a new file called part three.
Okay.
Okay. So it is generating a new file called part three. So part -3 Parquet. So
This
in this,
part.
what will happen? In this, let me complete this. In this,
Okay.
what will
Sure.
happen? In this, the part one will actually disable.
Okay.
So what will happen is now, so part one, part two, part three. So part one, yes, the user is read the data, he updated. When he updated, it is actually because immutable. It is actually the table is loading in the backend. It is adding a new data file called part three Parquet file. And whenever he added something, what will happen? Your transaction log is actually continuously keep on controlling and monitoring. It will make a new log file called 001.json. Okay, so it will make a new log file which is 001.json file. It will create a new log file, a new latest log file. So latest data, latest log, right?
Okay.
So what is happening here? If there is any content, it cannot change. It cannot change the existing Parquet. It is reading Parquet and writing into a new Parquet. So Delta module makes a copy of your data from the original file and applying all the updates into a new file, which is called part three.
Okay.
If the updates are happening on the file, the transactional record is monitoring and making a new log file called 001.json. This new log file will now aware only it will aware only this new files information. So and it will aware that there's no relevant data in the part one. Always part two and part three only is the current state processing.
Okay.
On left side, on the LI side, on the LS side. What about the Bob side? Okay, now Bob is again writing a query in this state. So he is actually requesting the data. So when he read the data, what will happen? What will happen? Same like above, same like a previous scenario. When he go to the request, he will always get the latest transaction log information. So he's actually writing, I'm writing a query select start from table, right? Okay, and he's giving latest transaction log. So in this, what is the latest transaction log? 001, right?
Yep.
001.json file transaction.
That's a recent one.
Yeah, that's the latest one. Yes. So what will happen? And then, so the log in this case, what actually the log indicates, okay, the log indicate is saying that, okay, these two are your latest files. Whatever this data is actually reading and updating with the new file, this file. So this is all the history will maintain. And this new log file have the new data. So these two are the correct state, and this will give you the as the latest flow. So means whatever I have updated the data, that is in the part three already. So means when you do some changes here, it is capturing those changes and then reading and writing and making as a new Parquet file and then loading. So it means it is not breaking any policies. It is not breaking any formulas of the Parquet. So Delta Lake is following the principle of immutability. But once
Mhm.
the file is written into storage layer, it is nobody is coming and changing the files, right? Because at the end of the day, all these files are not changing.
Mhm.
We are reading, updating, and writing, right? So
Mhm.
reading, updating, writing means nothing but a CDC. You are reading, updating, and writing. So which is a way it's handling the updates through the file, like copying your file, or adding a transactional log, right? And these both historical versions will preserve all the modifications of your table, right? So
Mhm.
how this will work, the historical versions. If you ask me, okay, I want to go back, I want part one. Or you want to see, okay, I want to go back my old data I want. Or you want to roll back situation. Means you don't want new, you want old one. Or you want to do some auditing. How the auditing? Like I want to go back and check what's the got updated, what auditing. All these we'll see anyway in the next sessions about like how to track your history, how to track versioning, how to go back time travel features. There's a beautiful feature. We will see that practically also. So all these features we'll see practically also.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this
Mhm.
so this is the one scenario. You know,
Mhm.
actually now we are talking about user. Okay, one user is coming and writing. Okay, one user is coming and updating and doing. What if I have concurrent users, like a multiple users doing a multiple transaction at a time? How
Mhm.
that how that scenario will work? Okay, so that scenario will how it will work. And same way, how if it is fail, suppose he's updating, but some
Mhm.
failures will happen. How
Yeah.
this is
Failover.
will work? Failover.
Mhm.
So all those things that we'll discuss on the next session. I don't want to give you everything today with the too much
Okay. Okay.
stuff. So yeah, so today I'll just revise what we covered. So what we covered is about the Delta Lake transaction log. As we discussed on Delta Lake, so it is a transactional layer working on top of your physical layers, cloud storage, and it is uh, it is actually is offering as a asset guarantees. And as the main feature of Delta Lake is a transaction log where it is capturing all the transactional information. And so to store everything as JSON format. It's a source of truth of all your tables history. And let's taking as a scenarios, the two users we discussed, Elias and Bob, is actually inserting a data. Whenever he entered the data is going back and storing as a Parquet files on the table directory as a physical storage. And then same way it is maintaining a log. When the user comes and reading a data, is reading the files and then it is processing. And the update is nothing but the user is trying to update the table, and
Mhm.
then we are actually reading. It is actually going back because the pathway is immutable. We can't change directly as in the file. But here we have a tables. The main concept is delta lake is everything we are making a table. You are reading a data from file to table. You are updating in the table, and automatically that is writing a new file into a parquet. So means we are guaranteeing the parquet principles. We are not breaking anything. So and whenever you're doing any capture, any changes, it is capturing by delta log. Every change of your data will be make a new .json file. Internally, it has all the history is added. And when the Bob wants to read again, and he'll get latest transaction. Latest transaction means latest addresses of your data. And that is what is updating. In the next sessions, we'll see how multiple users are concurrently updating,
Mhm.
how multiple users are concurrently reading, and what if this is failures, what if this mechanism failures, and what data Bob can access.
Okay, okay.
So
What is the recovery? All right.
recovery, yeah, how he can access those scenarios. All whatever we are seeing, this everything, we will see everything practically step by step.
Okay.
Because yeah, the next few sessions we'll play with the Delta Lake, and later we will
Mhm.
integrate with the clouds, cloud solutions, how to mount the data from the so now multiple sources files. Yeah, we're going to see like how the real-time Kafka ingestion
Mm.
tracking. We'll see how the real-time, how the cloud integrations of Azure Data Lake storage buckets to Databricks, how to mount the locations, and same way AWS S3, and same way how we can write into Snowflake. I'll show you the different tools because I
Okay.
have all the tools in my handy, so I
Mhm.
can easily show you how to work with the Confluent Cloud Kafka related. So this is
Yeah.
Kafka, and same way we will see how the Azure connectivity, and same way how the Snowflake. So this is a Snowflake accounts.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, so everything I have all the accounts are there, so I can easily integrate and show you all these solutions.
Okay.
So
Okay.
because that is a where in the real time projects interview or projects everywhere people
Mm.
will expect integrations with solutions related is very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Um, okay, that we will see on the we have many use cases we're going to see. It's all about your patience.